Hello, so this is just a quick tutorial on how the game works. So we spawn in on a map here, and these are mountains. So if I press Control and scroll, I can see these layers here. So as you can see, that those are very mountainous. So the goal of the game is to build a facility to contain anomalies. So here we have a list of tasks that we can complete to achieve this goal. And this is a part of contracts, which can be found in the facility tab under contracts. You can see it matches here. And what contracts are pretty much are just a sort of guiding hand to point you in the right direction. Similar to games like Prison Architect. So the first contract will basically allow you to get your facility up and running. Sorry, my mouse is freaking out. Let me adjust something. Okay, my mouse is good. Yeah, so probably the most sort of important thing is building, because ultimately that is the main thing you do in this game. You do a lot of building, and this is done through the construction menu. So clicking this, it changes the layout of the UI, and you can see there's sort of these buttons here. These buttons are the different tools that you can use to build things, and you can use, these are shortcuts here. So I can press B to open this one, I can press V to open that, so that's quite useful. But the most important one is this one, which is the object tool, which lets you place walls, floors, doors, pretty much most things in the game. And the second most important one is the demolish tool, which lets you actually remove things. And additionally, the area tool lets you designate areas, which is very important to actually add functionality to the stuff that you build. And those menus there are pretty much the main menus I use. So let's just follow this contract. It wants us to sort of build a basic containment center. So to do that, we have to build a containment cell to actually hold the some anomaly, right? So every sort of structure can be summarized as pretty much walls, floors, and rooms. So that's pretty much how most structures sort of take shape. So I clicked onto the object tool, went to the wall here, and I could place this down, and builders will start to build this. So if I speed the game up with the number keys, or press that here, you can see that a builder comes and builds that. But obviously just one more isn't enough. If we want to make a cell, then we have to actually build a room, right? So I can click down and drag to make a sort of square space here. And obviously this is just a square room, but it needs a door, right? So people can actually enter. So if I pressed E to go to the demolish tool, and then I could just click here to erase that, and then I can go back to the object tool, and I can navigate to the doors and click a door down here. So now this room is actually accessible. Maybe it's not the most secure because a veneer door isn't exactly, containment standard. Maybe a containment door would be better, but for now we'll just keep that. Excuse me. But obviously it has no floor. There's just ground here, and that's not really acceptable for a room. So I can click onto the floors and come here, and then I can again just drag over here, over this. And notice there's this sort of grid that tells me where things are placed. Because of the perspective, it can be confusing without the grid, so you can sort of use the grid to guide you. Like I can see if I click here, you know, this floor is going to be placed where I actually want it to be placed, and then I can drag it up here, and yeah. So as you noticed, there was, you know, I lost some money, and that's because it ordered a delivery. So if I close the construction menu, which I could press escape for, oh, okay, actually it's arrived already, never mind. But there would have been a indication here of deliveries that are pending. I can order something else, like I can place this tiled floor here, and you'll see, yeah, it says, oh, you've got a delivery here. Yeah, so now I've got a floor in my room, which is being built by the builders. The last thing is every room needs a roof, right? Roofs are not built automatically, they have to be built. So if I press control and scroll, well, hold control and scroll and go to the layer above, or I can press the up arrow like this, and I can see that there is no roof. It's just sort of an open open chasm. So this room is not really a room unless it has a roof. And to build roofs, a roof is just the floor, pretty much. There's no difference between a floor of a room and a roof of a room. A roof is just the floor on the level above, right? And you can see there's actually a little tutorial pop up here. So I can drag here. You can see it snaps here conveniently, which is nice. And I can just do like this, and boom. So now that I've built this floor like above the room, that would once it's built, that will count as a this will count as an enclosed space, which will make it you know, an actual valid room. I can ignore these. So I can just speed the game up and let the builders build this. Okay. So yeah, they are building this. Okay, you can ignore this. I'm gonna remove this in the next patch. It's a bit excessive, but you can see now we have this sort of space built. You know, it's got a ceiling here, it has a floor here, and if I click into the space, you can see it says it's a room and it's sealed, and you can see other stats that are not very important to us. So this, but you know, this room by itself is not, it doesn't really do anything, right? Because to actually give structures functions, we need to use regions. So if I open the construction menu and go to the area tool and then go to the regions, I can, you know, actually give this the functionality of a containment cell. Right now it's just an empty room, but click on this, and then again I drag here and make sure to follow the grid. You can see, well, I've dragged this region into here. And now, for all intents and purposes, the game recognizes the space as a containment cell. And you can see that on the grant, it's happy that I actually completed this. That was the task. So, you know, now we have a containment cell built. And for the rest of these, it's very much the same. If I wanted to build a reception, I would build walls, floors, roof, and then I would go over to the reception region, and then I would drag that over here. And you can see in the case of maybe an office, this is a good example. If I drag this office here, you'll see that regions have requirements. So you can't just place a region anywhere. It needs to be indoors, which is in a room that's sealed with a ceiling. And it also needs something like an office desk. So that's something you'd find in the objects tab under furniture. So this would be the correct one. So regions have requirements. You can't just place them and expect them to work. It just happens to be in the case of a containment cell, it doesn't have strict requirements because they can take many shapes and sizes and forms. So that's a quick tutorial on how to build. But obviously, building isn't just the aim of the game. You also want to contain anomalies. So we've built this lovely containment cell, but we actually need to now bring a anomaly into the cell. So I'm gonna ignore this for now. There is more to building that I can go into, such as power generation. Actually, yeah, I'll do that first before we take an anomaly. So this room, this lovely containment cell, currently has no lights. So obviously we need to address that. So in many games, you'd build a power generator and place it down and then connect it up with wires and, place all of that stuff. And Containcorp is no different. But if I go to objects and I try and find the menu that has power related things, utility, you'll see that the game suddenly looks really different. This is logistics mode. And basically logistics mode is just a separate mode which shows you power cables and water pipe cables. And this is separate from the normal view because it just keeps things neat. If you've played Prison Architect, you would recognize this. You'd recognize this. So as you can see, the power generator is actually locked off because there's actually a grant I need to complete to unlock it. So how do we even get power then? Well, as you can see, there is a power cable running along the road, and this is the grid power cable. So the game is generous enough to provide free power for us, at least early on. It won't last forever. If you use too much power, of course. So to actually get power into a room, power things that you want to power into it, which in this case will be lights, I can select a power cable here. And I can only build this power cable. Oh no, I can build this power cable out of logistics, but it's kind of confusing. I wouldn't know where to build it. But you can see there is a faint sort of area there. You can see the cable, but logistics mode is the best way to build it. So get a power cable, and it's really as simple as placing down like that. And once the builders build this power cable, which it will likely have to be, yes, delivered. But once they actually get building this power cable, you'll see the power automatically transfers. Yeah, so it's pretty simple there. So just to get into the room, these power cables here can go through walls quite easily. So I can just do this. I made a mistake here, so let me cancel that. So I can just build this into here, and that's getting power into the cell. There is a small variant of the power cable, and the only downside to using this, well, the upside to using this is that you can place it down instantly. But the downside is that it can't go through walls. So you can see it doesn't go through walls. So this is useful for just doing internal power things. But the main cable is probably what you want to be using a lot of the time. So now that we have power in here, I would just place a few more cables here just so it's easier to place the lights down. So now I just need to actually find the lights in the construction menu, which is under appliances, and here I can see where it's gonna place the lights, and you know, I'm being very careful to actually follow the grid here because the actual sprite of the light is kind of offset. So, you know, that could be confusing without the highlighting. But there is some sort of annoying issue with the highlighting. I don't know if that's an issue, but yes. So if I place this here and here, this should get some lights in the containment cell. And all of this I've done with power is very much the same with fluids. They're pretty much equivalent in many ways. The only difference is that fluids has a travel time across pipes. But it's the same. You have to be in logistics view. You place down, instead of a power cable, you place down a pipe here. And then some objects may require fluids, so you just make sure the pipe is like going over that object or whatnot. Very much like the lights here. So once the lights get delivered here, you'll see the builders will start to unpack and build that. And yeah, and now we have lights on our containment cell. Awesome. So that's pretty much a summary of how building works with logistics and with, you know, normal walls and floors. And, you know, objects are no different. They're just like walls. You just place them and then they'll get built. And I'll just quickly build an office just to demonstrate, you know, building objects in rooms. So I build these walls here. Okay, let me get that done. And then we get a door down for this office. Cool. And then again, it needs a floor. So let me build a floor here. And then lastly, it very much needs a ceiling so that it can actually be indoors. So let me go up one level and get a ceiling built like this. Cool. So, you know, I just have my builders build that in their own time. You know, they're getting that done. And again, it also needs an office desk. Let me not forget that. So if I go to furniture, click on the office desk, I can place one in here. And that should get built eventually. You know, given enough time. No, not many builders right now. So yeah. Let me close this. But they are you got some build on the roof. And you got some building. Oh, okay, we've got more builders. Should speed things up a lot more. Cool. Okay. Cool. Okay, it seems like they're done. There are some roof tiles that still need to be completed. Let's see if are they gonna complete them. Let me replace it just in case. Let me cut to that. Let me replace the roof here. Okay. Cool. So now this office is happy. It's indoors and it's got a office desk inside. So yeah, so that's just an example of how that works. So yeah, that's building in a nutshell. The first pillar of the game is containment. And arguably it's one of the most important things you'll be doing in the game. So how do we actually bring anomalies into the site? Obviously our site is not very majestic. It's just a very small, it's just 2 rooms. But to do this, it's all done through contracts. So if I go to the contracts page, I can find, if I click this specifically, I can filter by anomalies. See, there's 4 anomaly contracts I could accept. So which one should I accept? I'll probably accept the fish one because the difficulty is not too high. So if I accept this, you'll see it's now become active, and eventually it's going to come to site. So I can see there's a pop-up here with anomalies, and I can view the anomaly. Oh, in transit. That's actually a bug. That should be there. So I can see that anomaly is in transit, and it's going to arrive in an hour. Cool. So I can read the case file. Every anomaly has a case file, which sort of gives you an idea of what it's about. These case files you could read before you accept the contract, or you could read after. In this case, I accepted the contract before, but I can read it now. So I click that here. I can see this is the anomaly that's going to come in an hour, and it's a fish. It makes music. Very strange. But the most important sections here are the containment procedures, how to contain it, the research opportunities. Currently, the content for this isn't actually done, but other anomalies might have research. And then there's the profit incentives, which is actually how you make money. And these are the core 3 pillars of the game, so the most important. And then the rest is just extra information that could be helpful, such as like other anomalies and that stuff. That noise was the anomaly arriving, pretty much. So as I can see, the anomaly is actually in this box. And this box is a transport vessel, which basically is a perfect box for contained anomalies. But it doesn't last forever. You'll see that it says it release in 48 hours. And pretty much, you see it's gone down. Pretty much the box will eventually break and release the anomaly. So you've got to actually get it to containment cell within that time. So obviously if you take the anomaly in, but the cell isn't ready, that could be problematic. But thankfully our cell is ready here. And you can see there's a notification on the side. And this notification actually tells us what has happened. It tells us, oh, it's been delivered. This can be quite useful for keeping track of events that happen in the facility. So how do I actually get the anomaly into the cell? I wish it was as easy as just, pick it up and drag it. But it is still very easy. So there are 2 ways, actually 3 ways you can do it. I can click on the transport vessel and then press assign cell. I can click on the containment cell. Let me not click on the light. I click on the containment cell, go to setup, and then assign an anomaly from here. Or I can go to facility, anomalies, and then I can assign a cell from here. I'll do it from this menu since this is the menu I'm on. And you can see that it's sort of brought up this UI, and I can see, oh, here's my containment cell. If I was on a different floor, you wouldn't see that arrow, so you might have to like flick through floors to see it. So I can just simply click this containment cell, and it says, oh, I got a little notification. Nice. And you can see now the cell has been renamed. I need this. You can see the cell has been renamed. So pretty much a janitor, very specifically a janitor, will come and pick this up and put it into the containment cell. Let me get this photo. So if I speed up the game, you'll see the janitor has come and they've come and put it in. So they're coming in here. And yeah, so now we have our transport vessel in this containment cell. But obviously the anomaly hasn't actually been released. So, that's the next and final step of actually doing it. And to release anomaly, again, you can do it from the facility anomalies tab. I can press it from here. Or I can click on this and release it from here. And one important thing to note is that the anomalies, they sort of generate money passively. The corporation sort of gives you a stipend for containing it. And this sort of represents maybe the contractual obligation, or sort of like maybe governments are paying you to keep this out of their neck or whatnot. But yeah, so you do get money just passively from containing anomalies, and depending on how difficult it is to contain. So something like the sun anomaly, which I can view here. Something like this anomaly would pay a lot more money to keep it contained because it's a lot harder to contain. But yeah, let me go and release this anomaly into its cell, and you'll see just no fancy explosions or anything. Maybe after some polish there will be. But you can see that the fish is here. If I unpause, it's gonna start doing weird stuff. It's making water. Cool. If you read its database entry, you'll understand what it's actually doing. So yeah, so now we have this anomaly contained. Obviously, I could go on to complete this contract and expand my site and make it look pretty. But I can go on to the next pillar of the game, which is researching and experimentation. So there are two ways to research in the game. There's a really simple way, which is a part of an update that I'm making to the game currently to actually simplify the research. And then there's a more complicated way. The simpler way is as simple as building these science objects inside the cell, these experiments like this. I can actually build one now. I'll build one in here like this. Maybe I'll build two. And the more complex way involves accepting a grant or a contract, sorry, which actually lets you, which actually unlocks. It's actually unlocked here, but it would let you bring in interns into your site, and then actually have those interns be guinea pigs in experiments, and have them walk into the cell, and then researchers watch the experiment and. But it's very advanced and I guess more complicated, but it gives you a lot more science. So this is the early game method of generating science. But what is science? Well, if I go to the research screen, I can see the fish is here. Currently the fish doesn't actually have research nodes, but you can see here that I can see there's like different points here about physics, biology, chemistry. What is all this? These are your science points. So as you do science in the game, you unlock different points, different types of points. And then these influence the type of research that you can actually do. So maybe if I was researching a new weapon, that would take engineering and chemistry. Maybe it's a plasma weapon. Or if I was researching some status effect that applies to everyone. Maybe your employees are less prone to breaking down psychically or something like that from an anomaly. That might be a psychology research point. Or maybe if you're researching an advancement into some like gene therapy you can do on an NPC to make them to extend their life or something like that. That might be a biology point. So you kind of get the idea. Currently, these research objects, they make any science type, so you can't really control that. We can see them get built. Have to get to the site first. Yeah. Okay. So they're built. So yeah, they're very simple to use. You just click on them. You go here, I can press run experiment, and a scientist will come up and actually turn this experiment on. However, we don't actually have any scientists on site. The closest thing we have is a paramedic. So how are we gonna, actually, get this, run? And we're gonna have to hire new staff. Currently, it's not clear that this requires a scientist. It does say that a researcher, you need a researcher available, but it's not very obvious that, you need a scientist. I will add some sort of warning for that. So to hire new staff, again, you just go to facility. Most of the functions you need are in facility. So I can go to the staff menu and go to hire new. And you'll see that there's a horrible spreadsheet. But it's quite simple. There's just a job on the leftmost column, and it shows all the jobs that you can hire from. And then these are sort of candidates. So I can re-roll this candidate for free. But you'll see that the high cost goes up. Obviously, I want a researcher. So I re-rolled that. And what you're re-rolling for is for the EOY, which is the years of experience. So ideally, you want this to go up. And, you know, I'm being very unlucky here. That's really unlucky. So I'm probably not going to get a researcher with many years experience. I'm not going to hire them for 10,000. So I'm going to go to the other researcher here. And you'll see that they're sort of duplicated here. And that's because there's two shift types. There's day shifts and night shifts. So employees in the day shift come in the day, leave at night, and then night shifts do the vice versa. Currently, it is night, so it is probably better to hire a night researcher here. I'll hire a few. And hopefully they should arrive. I think I've probably missed the window for them to arrive. But yeah, I may have missed the window for them to arrive. But I can just hire a day shift, actually. I'll hire a day shift. Even though it will cost a lot of money. I'll hire a day shift staff. A day shift researcher. Oh, actually, the yes, the reroll, the high cost is reset because on each new day it all resets, which is nice. So I can free hire these ones. So I just hire a couple, and then let me just fast forward to it should be 9 a.m. That's when the new hires will come. Around 9 a.m. So you can see the sun comes up. Yeah, and then we should be able to quite easily have this experiment run. They should pretty much run it immediately. Oh, okay, I did get a one here. Okay, so they have arrived here. As you can see, I actually got a new proposal. This is something that scientists do. They propose experiments. So this seems to be the one that they proposed. But we will get into that because it's quite complex. But you can see these are my new hires, day shift hires. And one of them this one, it seems like, is going to run the experiment that I just activated here. So he's gone over, yep, he's activated the experiment. So if I click on this, I can see that it is running here, experiment progress. So if I just let this run, there is a failure chance. Hopefully I didn't get a failure. I just fast forward this. Okay, I can see it's okay, yeah. So I got 14 psychology points. Who knows how I got psychology points from this grey goo, but I just did. So, you know, whatever that experiment picked up on, it gave me some points. So I can see instead of 20 psychology, I've got 34. So yeah, that's pretty much how to get science early on. You can just build these. You can see that they have a range. So basically they can interfere with each other. So, you know, if you just spam them all in like a corner, they will all be a lot less effective. And you can actually see the yield that you'll get per experiment here. Experiments can go wrong, and it can be quite catastrophic if they do. You know, anything from an explosion to, you know, maybe even killing the person who activated it. And every time you activate it, the person activating it has a increased chance, like the moment they flick the switch, of something going wrong. I believe it's double the chance. But yeah, that's how to research. And lastly, the final pillar of the game is how to profit. So as I can see, there's all of these, you know, weird eggs here. And I wonder maybe if that relates to exporting and making money from this anomaly. But I'm not sure. So let me check the database and actually find out. So I can go to the profit incentives. And it says, oh, okay, the eggs that it produces can be exported for profit. And they're using caviar. How interesting. So, okay, I can export them for profit. How do I do that? Well, like most things in the game, it's all done through a region. So if I go to the construct menu, and I click on regions, I can see that there is a exports. Lovely. So if I just build this exports region somewhere here, it doesn't really matter where, but I'll build on the side of the road just because it looks nice. And you'll see that people will start, the builders, in fact, I think janitors as well, will start to haul these eggs into the export region. And, you know, that's pretty nice. But it's not making me money. Why is it not making me money? Well, it says right here that they are hauled at the end of the day. Oh, it's a bit of a spelling mistake there. But at the end of the day, they get exported. Actually, that description is kind of wrong. I gotta rewrite that. But basically, at the end of the day, all of this stuff will be sold. And I think on the database menu, it does tell me, yeah, I get 1,000 per egg. So yeah, not sure why the music is kind of freaking out there. Is it every time okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Anyways, so yeah, so if I wait till the end of the day, you'll see that you know, they're just collecting these eggs, and yeah, I'm getting quite a few eggs here. Yeah, there's definitely an issue with the soundtrack. That's a new bug. Well, glad I caught that. Anyways, I'll just keep this fast forward in. You'll see as we approach midnight, it should get sold. I may change it to sell every hour instead of at the end of the day. But yeah, you should see any moment now. Yep, you can see I made 42,000. That's pretty decent. 42,000 just for selling a bit of eggs that this Anomaly made. Nice. But obviously there are challenges. I mean, it does flood this room. NPCs don't drown currently yet, but the eggs do hatch, and they do make little fishlings like this here, and the fishlings can be quite mischievous. But yeah, that's how you export. So that's the 3 pillars of the game, sort of in a nutshell. I would be able to research if this this thing had anomalies, this thing had research nodes, but you know, it doesn't have the content for that. Yeah, there are other anomalies that do, but they are a bit too involved. But if in the case I did have a research project that I could do, a researcher would work in this office to complete it. So I just go on the research screen, click the research node, and then a researcher will work in that office and you know, get that research project done. So yeah, so I hope this tutorial sort of gave you a vague idea of how the game works. There's obviously a lot more systems that I haven't covered. I don't think it's possible to cover everything in one video. But I think this sort of gives you an idea of the sort of gameplay loop that exists. But yeah, and you know, going forward from this, I would continue to, you know, finish the grants. I would accept, contracts. I keep calling them grants, though they used to be called grants. So slip of tongue. So I'd finish this contract, and then I'd continue on these other ones, and sort of slowly expand my site and bring in more anomalies. In the, you know, as the game progresses, there's gonna be dozens and dozens of anomalies. We want 100 for the 1.0 release. So yeah, so you can kind of imagine how the game would progress, and you're making more money, and they're using that money to do more crazy stuff. But yeah, so obviously I could go into all of these other features here, but it might be too much. Yeah, I think you can sort of explore this in your own time, and figure these features out. But yeah. So yeah, hopefully that was useful. At showing you how the game sort of works.